halftime here at Mile High Stadium.
We're getting back in it, and I don't know whether we're just using too many superlatives about John Elway. It's hard. I don't think I've ever seen a half played by a quarterback that we've witnessed thus far this evening by John Elway.
Well, you know, Jim McMahon hasn't exactly been chopped liver either. He's 13 of 19 for, as you saw, 200 yards. I mean, we're on our way to an over 800-yard passing day.
But it has not been as dramatic. I mean, Elway had to do it, rolling out of the pocket, chased out of the pocket. Let's go back and look again. This was the one that put them ahead to Mark Jackson. Again, the key thing was the protection that Elway had. This one is to Ricky Nattell, the rookie from Florida. This is the one that put them out in front, right in front of Phillips. We commented at the time it had to be absolutely perfectly thrown. It was that.
And Elway will be going to work very shortly because Denver receives the second half kick. Kevin Butler, who kicks off about half the time into the end zone, boots this one in that very direction, except this one comes to the 1-yard line. Vance Johnson takes it there, and Johnson brings it all the way back out to the 28-yard line. So Elway and the guys go to work, and Gary Fensick, who is reduced down to playing on special teams and in certain defensive situations, makes the stop. And the Bears, as you can see, had not allowed 21 points in a quarter since that famous Monday night game in Miami 2 years ago.
That they lost, the only loss of their 1985 season. 112 quarters ago. A lot of football.
First down at the 27-yard line. Lang is taken down by Ron Rivera and Richard Dent both at the 30-yard line after a gain of 2.
Got a little pushy-shovey going on out there. Wilbur Marshall, and who's his other combatant? Larry Lee, I believe, the center.
Yep. And it was Humphreys, Marshall's former teammate, as Cesar. Now, again, take it easy on them.
Hard to imagine what Mike Ditka might have had to say at halftime. I imagine it was rather abrasive. Losing a 14-point lead, going at halftime down by 7.
Well, why are there 8 maintenance workers in the locker room right now? Second down and 8 from the 30.
There's a good look at the 46.
This is Sewell, and Sewell is able to get by Marshall and work his way for a first down, but a marker is down back at the 25-yard line. And one of the reasons they were able to perhaps work their way by Marshall is he was held. We'll see.
And a clipping preliminary indication.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on Keith Bishop, number 54. He's the guy that was out there blocking on Wilbur Marshall.
Red Cashin.
Clipping during the run. Number 54 on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Oh, you hate that, don't you, Dan? Do you ever stick out when that happens?
Well, take a look. Wilbur Marshall's going to get upfield. This is Keith Bishop. He's going to pull, and he's going to clip Wilbur from behind right here. Take a look at it. Wilbur Marshall goes upfield, gets the force, fights off the block of Gene Lang. There's the clip. A good spot by the official. You just can't fall onto the back of someone's legs. Wilbur Marshall, a sensational play on his part, fighting off the block of Lang, fights off the clip, and still in on the play.
Second and 22 now from the shotgun. Early third quarter, Denver leading by 7. Elway rolls left, throws, flag is thrown. There was contact there. And Natil was hit from behind by Vesti Jackson with the ball in the air.
A right-handed quarterback isn't supposed to be able to run to his left and throw the ball with that much authority, is he? That's not right.
He's not supposed to do a lot of things that he is doing, John Elway, but that is a designed moving pocket for Elway.
Holding. Number 95 on the defense. First down.
Richard Dent holding, but that was a pocket that just moved out in front of John Elway. It gets away from a lot of pass pressure, and Elway can do so many things from that. He'll pull it down. He'll run with the football. He'll hit the underneath man. He'll go up to the top with it.
And what a costly penalty that time on Richard Dent, giving an automatic first down to Denver when they were backed up into a long yardage situation.
Took him from what Would have been 3rd and 22 to 1st and 10. At the 20-yard line. Inside handoff, and Singletary takes care of Lang. With relish.
If the Chicago Bears players were a corporation, Mike Singletary would be the president and CEO. He is the Chicago Bears, and that's, I know, maybe grammatically not correct, but it's correct in the title that Mike Singletary gets. He's the main man.
What would Peyton be in that corporation?
He'd be a leverage buyout man.
Chairman Emeritus.
Second and 12. And he lost it. Incomplete. Mark Jackson trying to split the defense. And it'll be 3rd down. Bell and Gale recovering.
I go back to Mike Singletary. One of my favorite terms in describing a ball player who has that kind of a leadership capability would be to call him the bell cow. The cow that leads and everyone else follows. Mike Singletary is that guy that leads and everyone else follows.
I prefer not to call him that to his face.
In
Very
that
serious man.
In that corporation, what would Ditka be? Sergeant at Arms?
Quite possibly.
3rd down and 12. And there's a flag. There was movement, and the pass goes through the hands of Ricky Nattiel. But there was jumping at the line, and it might have been the fridge.
Ricky Nattiel, by the way, is playing with a fractured thumb, and with what he had on that, it would be hard to catch.
It was the fridge who was across the line of scrimmage. John Elway going with a hard snap count. Got number 72.
Offside. Number 72 on the defense. Still 3rd down.
Going back to your corporation for a second, what would McMahon be?
You just don't like it, do you? There's William Perry jumping offside. A good look. All right,
McMahon,
Mr. Michaels, who would you appoint president?
Well, I don't know. Maybe Singletary. But
don't tell me you don't know. Come on.
McMahon would be what? The prodigal son? I don't know.
Chief operating officer? Don't criticize my choice without one of your own. I'm not going to put up with that. Come on.
3rd down and 7 from the 23. And the pass is caught, but short of the 1st down. Sewell makes the catch at the 27-yard line. I know one thing, the nutritionist would be Perry.
Yes.
Good read by Elway to get the ball out there, but just coming up short of the 1st down. The blitz was on. They were bringing the 2 linebackers.
Fourth down, 2, with McKinnon standing back at his own 25. Mike Horan, who had 2 blocked in 1 quarter in Buffalo last week. Good check. Fumble at the 24. McKinnon picks it up and gets buried at the 28-yard line by Bruce Plummer and Rick Dennison. 12:07 to go in the 3rd quarter with Denver ahead by 7. Bears flashback, and let's go back to the coach of the Bears when he was a tight end out of the University of Pittsburgh, Mike Ditka. The year was 1963. The quarterback was Billy Wade. And watch this catch and run by Ditka, who reminds you very much of another number 89 who wears a New York Giant uniform, Mark Bavaro. A run similar to the one we saw at San Francisco in a way last year. Ditka, for the extra yardage, he wound up leading his team in receiving and scoring in 63 as the Bears won the title, beating the Giants, as Frank well remembers, 14-10.
The pride of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania.
I remember him well.
28-yard line. Walter Payton is in the slot to the left with Neil Anderson, the sole running back, and Payton in motion. And it's Anderson who cuts it up to the 33-yard line. He picks up close to 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Jim McMahon started a perfect 8 for 8, but in the last 4 possessions, he's become human. Still 200 yards total on the night. And as we mentioned before, never a 300-yard game for McMahon. His career best, 292. Second and 5. Anderson. And a loose ball, but the play blown dead at the 33-yard line. Jim Ryan takes off with it, but it means nothing.
Super play by Dennis Smith, the strong safety for the Broncos. He got up across the line of scrimmage, just messed up all of the blocking program, and forced Anderson to bring it back inside. Little or no pickup. There he is, Pro Bowler, past couple of years. Missed last week with a very sore knee, but he made a fine play there.
Third and 5 from the 33-yard line. That's Gentry in the backfield next to McMahon. And McMahon over the middle hits McKinnon for a big gain and a first down to the 44 of Denver. McKinnon, who missed all of last year, he was hurt, and he gets up hobbling here.
A good look at a couple of crossing patterns by the Chicago Bears. Watch Dennis McKinnon right here come down and go across. Work underneath the crossing pattern coming from the other direction. A really well-conceived play that time by Chicago.
And what you're looking for is a little pick just like basketball. And while they didn't get the pick, Dennis McKinnon with the good speed got way out in front of Robbins and gets the first down at the 45 of Denver. Good protection, too, for McMahon.
First and 10 at the Denver 45. Less than 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. McMahon is pressured, throws, and off the fingertips of the tight end, Emory Moorhead.
Mecklenburg was in there again for Denver. It's a big turnaround, even though we've been raving about John Elway. There's been a big turnaround in the performance of this defense.
Carl Mecklenburg, look at him come from the top of the screen. Looks like Neil Anderson was supposed to get the block on Mecklenburg and only got his arms on him. And boy, that's a tough shot for McMahon to take. There's Anderson in motion, but he can't make the block on Carl Mecklenburg. Ooh, right on the shoulder.
Mecklenburg, fortunately, only goes 230.
Yeah.
You want to be fortunate. I mean, you could have had a 270-pounder. McMahon was lucky to get up from that one.
Second and 10 at the 45. Flips it out to Anderson. And he is tackled in bounds at the 38-yard line by Jeremiah Castile.
Another pretty move by Anderson. He turned a 2-yard pickup into about a 7-yard pickup. And again, McMahon, looking downfield, knew exactly where Anderson was going to be. Nothing downfield, flipped it out to Anderson, and look at that. He just doesn't give up the football.
In the National Football League, when you go over 100 carries without coughing up the football, it puts you in very elite company. I think only one running back in the league has a longer string going, Earl Farrell with the Cardinals.
Third down 3. Keith Ortego in the game, bottom of the screen, in the slot to the right. And they give it to Gentry, moving through the middle for a first down to the 26-yard line, and that really crossed the Broncos up. Gentry, a versatile one, oft-times a wide receiver, but also has experience at running back, and he picks up the first.
5'8", 180 pounds. Very quick, good return man. Let's take a look at the interior line block.
Look at the pull and the block by Tom Thayer, the right guard, and that was a good illustration of exactly what the Broncos did in the closing moments of the first half. When you get back in that shotgun or spread formation, you have to show the ability to run the football. It really gives your offensive lineman a tremendous advantage to be able to run block out of the shotgun.
Bears have it at the Bronx 26-yard line. McMahon going deep, wide open, touchdown. Willie Gold again. 2 touchdowns tonight for Willie Gold.
What beautiful play action in the Bear backfield.
Double coverage on it. Harden came up in the low zone, top of your screen there.
Take a look at the fakes inside, pulling guard. Jim McMahon is going to roll out. Willie Gault will come up and take an outside release for the touchdown.
Tony Lilly in the middle of your screen does not get back there. There's Harden. Now Tony Lilly, the deep man, played it too short, up tight. Bad line. Tony Lilly.
And Butler missing the extra point. And Denver still has the lead.
And a camera on Ditka.
Kevin Butler, who kicked a 52-yarder to win last week's game, as you know, at Green Bay, missing the extra point.
Oh, and he is hot. But keep in mind, Butler also missed 3 field goals last week against Green Bay. That time, nobody to blame. He just hit that baby fat, and the Bears still trail.
8:10 to play in the third quarter. Butler to kick off after missing the extra point. Denver ahead 21-20. And Butler's kick is taken 2 yards in by Johnson. And Denver will start from the 20. Let's take another look now at the hold by Mike Tomczak.
From the reverse angle, you'll see that Mike Tomczak handled the ball. A little slow in getting it back to the spot. The laces were there for Kevin Butler, but most kickers do not mind those laces, particularly on a conversion. But it was a little mishandled. He had a hard time getting it back to the spot, and you could see it, and it hurts.
Is that a big difference on an extra point?
Laces?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so. Wasn't when I kicked them.
First down from the 20-yard line. Johnson in motion. Elway having a big night. Firing and intercepted at the 30-yard line by Rivera. And Rivera, who takes Otis Wilson's place, has given Chicago the ball and a first down at the 15-yard line. Rivera, who played against Elway in college, the two of them facing each other in a lot of Cal-Stanford games. And now it's Rivera giving Chicago a big break.
And you have to wonder if John Elway even sees Ron Rivera. Great catch by Rivera. This ball is whistled. But there's no way that John Elway doesn't see him, Frank. You have to think he's trying to get the ball over the top of Ron Rivera and just doesn't do it.
There's Rivera working on Vance Johnson. He does a couple of nice things on this play, but he was right in the line of sight of Elway. Elway just had his mind made up and released it, and Rivera gets the big turnover.
And Rivera's first career interception. McKinnon in motion, first and 10 at the 15-yard line. Payton out of the eye. Anderson lays down enough of a block, and Payton takes it to the 5-yard line. Dennis Smith makes the tackle. Anderson got rolled over, but it created the path for Payton to exploit.
That's all you need. Anderson trying. He didn't do a whole lot of that at the University of Florida. He was a very versatile athlete as a receiver and a rusher, but he makes the effort. Watch 35. He makes the attempt. That's all you care about. And it's very effective against Haynes. Dennis Johnson finally makes a stop at the 5-yard line, but give that run of Walter Payton, give a lot of credit to Neil Anderson.
First and goal at the 5. That much time left in the third. This is Anderson with Payton to block, and Anderson takes it to the 1. And I'll guarantee you one thing, folks. You're not going to see number 72 here. Not here. There's Rivera, who has set it up.
We talked all week about how he used to chase John Elway around out of the backfield when he played for California and Elway was performing for Stanford.
Meanwhile, there's Perry still thinks he's coming in.
Well, the Bears came with their big back this time, but it's going to be number 33, Calvin Thomas, a 240-plus pounder.
The fridge is on a total defrost.
Second and goal at the 1. And the big back, Thomas, doesn't get in. So it's going to be third down, goal inside the 1-yard line.
And he may have a first down. No, there's no chance for a first down here. The officials are calling for a timeout.
Oh, look at this. They plugged him in again.
I can't believe this. Maybe in a block, to block.
What do coaches always say, Dan?
Every coach always comes back to his great one after he makes a fumble. You got to get his confidence back up. You can't let the guy leave the ballpark not having the confidence that he can handle the ball. He can't even look at it.
I guarantee you he's in there to block, though. He's got to be in there to block.
There's nearly 600 pounds of backs in there right now.
They've got Thomas, number 33, with him. And they sent Thomas in motion. And McMahon himself takes it in. So Perry is enough of a decoy. Thomas goes in motion, and wouldn't you know it, McMahon goes in for the touchdown while nobody was looking.
I did not think he would handle the ball again. Great fake there, Mr. Perry.
Look at the surge by the Bear offensive line. You're going to see the orange shirts move backwards. Jim McMahon into the end zone easily over the top, and you have to think that him sending Perry out onto the field is an indication, though, by Mike Ditka that he's going to let him remain a part of that goal line offense.
You put it right. You got to come right back to him, Dan. They fumble the ball, give it to him again.
Butler, and there was movement by Jim Covert in the line before the snap.
False start. Number 74 on the offense.
Covert. You know what's amazing about the Bears? They've got the greatest rusher in the history of the National Football League. A great up-and-coming back in Anderson. And there's McMahon with Ditka. They've got the big back in Thomas at 245. And then there's Perry. And it's McMahon who takes it in for the score.
And an all-star offensive line up front. I mean, they've got the tools. I'm not so quick to bury the fridge here. He may return to Gallup again.
And another bad snap that time, but it's Konzak who shovels to Butler, and he can't get in. Lilly runs him out of bounds. Addix is a regular snapper, but Tom Thayer is snapping tonight.
Well, that ought to be a penalty on Tony Lilly. You can't throw a guy to the ground that far out of bounds. No wonder Kevin Butler got up a little mad.
And particularly a kicker. They'll walk away sucking their thumb. 2 consecutive missed conversions. Don't see that often.
I don't want to come down too hard on Tony Lilly. First of all, we see the bad snap. Tom Thayer, the center, but watch how far out of bounds Kevin Butler is when he gets thrown to the ground. I'm sorry, folks, that's a penalty right there. That's 15.
He's in Wyoming.
That's one of many changes on that defensive unit for Denver from last year, the Super Bowl team. He took over from Steve Foley. Louis Wright retired. Tom Jackson, an emotion leader linebacker, is also retired. So it's a very different defensive team, personnel-wise.
Kevin Butler. Spinning kick and a short one, and fielded on the run up to the 11-yard line by Johnson. And Vance runs out of bounds at the 31. And now the Broncos in arrears once again. At one point they trailed 14-0. They were on the verge of going down 21-7 when Perry fumbled, and then they were able to tie it and go ahead. And now they trailed again by 5.
Here comes Mandrake, the magician.
I'm still marveling at John Elway's first half. That's as good a half of football as I've seen a quarterback play in years.
1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Sewell. And Sewell has the first down at the 42-yard line. Todd Bell runs him out of bounds. Gain of 11.
Denver, when they lost Steve Watson, has really had to rely on receivers like Sewell and Vance Johnson, Mark Jackson. They're all good runners once they get the football. As a matter of fact, Vance Johnson was an all-Pacific Coast tailback, Pac-10 tailback when he played at Arizona. But once they come down with the football, they become dangerous runners.
Bobby Mitchell in the game. That T in the slot to the right. Elway on and out to Jackson, and he's wrapped up and sent down by Bestie Jackson. No relation.
And I think after Elway's interception, These are pretty solid pass patterns for John to be throwing to get back into this football game. I know he had to be a little bit rattled by throwing the ball right to Ron Rivera, but look at the high percentage possession-type passes he's thrown the last couple times out.
And, of course, coming right from Dan Reeves, and you're exactly right. I'm sure he wants to settle him down. He doesn't rattle, though, like he used to. He'll be there.
5 minutes to go, third quarter. Bears by 5. 2nd and 4 from the 49. And Winder takes the ball to about the 47-yard line, and that should be a first down. Stopped by Richard Dent.
An example of how Elway has taken over this football team. He called the play, got the play from Danny Reeves. He saw his flanker to the left side was not wide enough for the play that he wanted to run. Moved him out, kept his eye on the 30-second clock, did all of that, and he's either going to be close to the first down or he'll have it.
First and 10 at the 47-yard line as Reeves sends in the next play with Steve Sewell. Again, the Broncos with a victory would still be 2.5 games out with 6 to play in the AFC West, and they'd still be third behind Seattle as well. But they'd be very much alive in a wild card bid. A loss would be near disastrous for them. Elway throws it out of bounds. Steve McMichael that time forcing the issue.
And look how Denver trying to keep the Bears defensively off balance, that time going into the shotgun again on first down. I think Dan Reeves is really doing a good job, but unfortunately the Bears that time called it pretty well. They had the blitz on and John Elway back in the shotgun with one of his receivers going out. Gets too much pressure up the middle, and that time Stephon Humphreys, the right guard, is beaten by Steve McMichael, who made the good inside move.
2nd and 10 at the 47. 4:16 to go in the third. And the handoff goes to Johnson, and he's going to throw back for nobody.
He wanted to come back to Elway, and Richard Dent made sure Elway did not get out of the backfield. And Elway's complaining he was held.
And the guy you give credit to there for the Bears defensively is Wilber Marshall. Here's Wilber right here. Watch him pick his seam, come through here on the blitz, and force the errant throw. Nobody picks up Wilber Marshall. There goes Johnson in motion, but look at the bottom
of your screen. Dent with Elway. Elway didn't have time to throw that no matter.
Elway was trying to spin away from Dent. Jim Kelly caught one last week against Buffalo, or for Buffalo against Denver. Penalty flag, 2 of them incomplete.
I think the Bears were offside that time, Al.
Red Cash in the line. They'll get both officials together. The ball may have been the same from both, and it was.
I think we had a
Offside. Number 76 on the defense. Still third down.
I don't know that Steve McMichael was alone in being offsides. He was just a leader. There goes Wilber. There goes the Fridge.
Leaders are lonely.
Yeah. Wilber got back, but the Fridge did. 72 and 76 offside. Partners in crime.
Good tag team. 3rd and 5. Elway from the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. 2 on each side. Hay in motion. And Elway throwing deep and throwing nowhere. Stopping that time was Jackson. He ran down the sideline and stopped. Gale was covering on the play, and then he took off again.
Wilber Marshall, nobody on him whatsoever. The Bears coming with their blitz, and Elway knew he just had to unload it. He was going to dump it as far downfield as he possibly could. You'll see Marshall, top of your screen, no one to pick him up.
And that's not really Denver's fault, because you see Singletary coming to the inside. There just aren't enough bodies in orange shirts to pick up all the Bears. When you send 8 people, somebody's going to be free. Bears count on it.
Elway got together with Jackson, too. Remember, Jackson misread the blitz before. This time Elway said, hey, man, you should have been deep. Haran kicks into the end zone, and so the Bears will take it back at the 20-yard line. 3:47 to go in the third. First period belonged to Chicago, second to Denver, and the third to the Bears. They lead by 5. Is that Frank Gifford?
No.
Is that Dan
No,
Theodore?
that's John. Oh, we got it spotted now.
Oh, yeah.
There he is. Yep. Other way, John. Stanford.
There he is
live. Here he is, live.
John Elway.
Guy makes it happen, doesn't he? One way or another.
He's going to have to make it happen because they're down by 5, and the Bears have the ball at their own 20. 3:47 to go in the third. 26-21 Bears.
If he doesn't make it happen, it's going to be interesting.
Anderson looking for that first down and has it. He gets run out of bounds by Harden and Lilly. Keith Van Horn threw the block that time to Springham. First down.
And if I was on the Denver defensive team, I would get used to this, because I think the Bears, so many times before in this situation, having a lead, revert right to the running game. 4 years in a row they've led the NFL in rushing, and no better way to preserve the lead than run for first down, keep the other team's offense on the bench. And if you're the Bears, more often than not, it ends up scoring some points for you. And going against the team Buffalo killed on the ground last week.
First and 10 at the 31-yard line. Play fake. And McMahon throws a sideline route, caught by McKinnon at the 40-yard line. Just short of the first down, short by about 2.
Sometimes I wonder how I got this job. Whatever long the support like you're getting from me. Boy, can I call.
You were right in theory. Let's look at it that way. I'm sure Mike Ditka would like to keep it on the ground.
That probably was an audible.
Second and 2 at the 39. Fake to Payton. McMahon steps up, throws. McKinnon slides down and makes the catch on his back. He slipped down and still caught it at the 40-yard line.
A brilliant catch. McMahon really wanted 6 to Willie Galt, who was covered this time by Mike Harton, man for man, and he had to change it off. He almost got sacked. Now watch McMahon. He had stepped back up at this point, but he had looked deep for Galt, had to check it off, and a beautiful catch. Total concentration by McKinnon. Keep in mind, he's the man back there on punts. He has superb hands.
And a good look at Mark Haynes coming in late on McKinnon. He was giving Dennis all sorts of room on that play, and he took advantage of it for a Bear first down.
McMahon now 284 yards. First and 10 at the 40-yard line. And he gives the ball to Anderson, and Anderson is able to slice his way down to the 38-yard line. Gain of a couple, it'll be second down and 8. And we have 2.5 minutes to play in the third quarter, with Chicago leading by 5.
If it wasn't for the 2 blocked extra points, it would be a 7-point lead for Chicago. And right now, if you're Denver and Dan Reeves, you're pleading with your defensive team to not allow the Bears to score on this possession. The Bears get it into the end zone for a touchdown. Now you're really putting a great deal of pressure, maybe too much, on John Elway's shoulders.
Second and 7. That short roll, the pass to Anderson, that's the first down. At the 27-yard line, Jeremiah Castile with the tackle.
Not so much about Elway, but also say so much about McMahon. Tonight he's throwing the ball well, and he's had such discipline. A couple of times he wanted to go deep looking for the 6, saw that he would be a little close, checked it off, and threw for the first down.
Isn't this something? We talked about McMahon, and of course when you've got Payton there, as he's had for so many years, you're not going to have that many 300-yard games, but it is pretty incredible. He's never had one. And here he is 5 yards away in the third quarter.
Only the second time he started on Monday Night Football in 6 games since he came into the league.
From the 26, McMahon going for Morris and incomplete. He was trying to go up and over 300 with a big flourish. He was covered on the play by Mike Harden. Second down. And again, just to reiterate with McMahon, 300 yards, no Chicago QB since Vince Evans in '83. Dan Faust, we mentioned before, the NFL record 49. Dan Marino, who has not been in the league 5 years, has 23 300-yard games. And
how many times has San Diego led the league in rushing?
Who has the Super Bowl ring?
Yeah. Second down and 10, the bottom line. Second and 10 at the 26. Payton tries to get loose, escapes Mecklenburg, and then gets run out of bounds by Townsend, and a marker is down.
And a late flag coming in there.
Side judge is Howard Slavin.
That hurts. That could well take him out of field goal range.
Flip against the Bears is going to back them up. I didn't see it. I want to see who this is on.
Illegal crackback. Number 86 of the offense, 15 yards, still second down.
Cap Boso, tight end.
Capozzo is the tight end lined up here at the top. Watch him come down to the inside and block on one of the Bronco linebackers. The key here is you must block above the waist. I think we're going to see Boso go down and cut the legs out from underneath. That's number 55, Rick Dennison, the Bronco linebacker. When you crack back, you must block above the waist. You can't chop a man. He's trying to tell Mike Ditka, Capozzo is, that it was on me. It looks like a concussion.
It was close.
Third down.
Now what are they saying? Now they're moving the ball back.
He was arguing, he was pleading his case with the official. Ditka was talking with the two officials, and then Boso, from long distance, is now involved face-to-face with the field judge, Don Hakes.
Well, now, wait a minute. Maybe because he's lined up at the tight end position, he's allowed to block that low. Maybe they're not calling it a crackback now because he was lined up at tight end.
Well, the officials have just huddled, but they break that conference up.
I'll guarantee you that's what it is. Because he was lined up at tight end, it's not really a crackback unless he was split out wide.
Nor was it a crackback in any event. You saw it on the replay.
It's third down and 8 at the 25-yard line. Shotgun. And McMahon going deep and incomplete, intended for Anderson, and he was in a sandwich. He didn't have a chance.
That is the ruling, Dan. You're exactly right. He was lined up at tight end, and you do not call it a crackback. If you're at the tight end position, you can do that. And they argued their case, and one of the rare times they came up the winner.
So now Tomczak will spot the ball down at the 32. 42-yard attempt for Kevin Butler. And Jay Hilgenberg will do the snapping. Thayer had the bad snap before. Good snap, good hold, and a good kick. And so they missed 2 extra points, but get a very big field goal. Very big because it makes it an 8-point lead.
I'm sure they would much prefer somebody else to snap it than Hilgenberg, who is very good, but he wears a strap on his shoulder. He has a chronic shoulder injury, and it makes it very difficult for him to snap that ball back, but he got it back there in good shape on that occasion.
I think we got a good look there of Kevin Butler tapping Mike Tomczak on the helmets. Kevin has had his problems, admittedly, with concentration. He says, sometimes I just drift away, and he gets now into a little ritual with Mike Tomczak, his holder, where he taps him on the helmet, and he says that kind of locks me in. From that point on, it's all business.
Well, the Packers last week thought they would mess with his concentration when they called timeout before the 52-yarder, and all it did was enable Butler to build himself a little mound at the 42-yard line and boot it through.
Which is hardly permissible, but nevertheless. Kickers do drift away. You'll get a lot of coaches tell you that most kickers drift away on occasion. They can go along and be so accurate. They can punt the ball so well.
Here's a look at it right here. Now watch before the field goal. There's the tap on Mike Tomczak's helmet, and from now on, he's got tunnel vision. Nothing but to the hold and to the goalpost. The eyes never come off him.
Like swinging a golf club, it really is. It's total concentration.
Yeah. Thanks for finding that, guys. Good work.
Kevin Butler booting this one to the 4-yard line. And this is Ken Bell with his first run back of the night. And he's hit hard out at about the 20-yard line by Munson. Now, next Monday, the LA Rams, and we'll see Charles White, who had that huge day against St. Louis. Rams winning on Lansford's kick at the gun. Against the Redskins, the Washington Redskins, a team in first place, but a team with a controversy, with Doug Williams taking over for Jay Schrader.
And taking over quite effectively, and Jay Schrader has been really ineffective all season long, less than 50% for the Redskins, who are winning in spite of it.
Rams Skins next Monday night from D.C. Here it's Lang on 1st and 10, taking it out to the 29-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3 with 1 minute and 10 seconds to play in the 3rd period.
Goes right back to what Dan was talking about earlier, and what you have to do when you go from that spread or the shotgun formation. When you go consistently from it, you have to be able to run from it, and you have to show at least some kind of running game to keep that wild pass rushing defense at least down to a minimum.
What a difference a half makes there, huh? Broncos 33 yards so far here in the 3rd quarter.
2nd and 4. Elway throwing and open. Sewell makes the catch. Steve Sewell at the 49 of Chicago. 1st down.
It was a great catch, but again, Elway got it in between 2 defenders. You wonder sometimes how he can do this. He looks left, swings back, right over Wilbur Marshall, and right in front of the defensive back.
And you know how long that takes to throw that pattern? I mean, we got a good look at John Elway looking off the defense, looking to the left, looked away the 3 safety, but Sewell was lined up at the halfback position. Takes a long time for a back out of the backfield to work that deep a pattern. Good job up front.
1st and 10 at the Chicago 49. Bears lead by 8. Sammy Winder. He's taken down out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Dave Duerson gets credit for the tackle, and 31 seconds remain in the period.
One would have to think, too, the activities of the night. Denver has been using a lot of sweeps. They have been forcing the defensive linebackers to chase Elway all over the football field, and that begins to tell on you at about this point. Late in the 3rd quarter, into the 4th quarter, and particularly dealing in this kind of altitude.
2nd down, 8 at the 47. Sewell in motion. And the pass is knocked down. It was intended for Sewell and knocked down by Al Harris. And he is spelling Dan Hampton in the defensive line.
Harris 6'5" over that left side. Anticipated it perfectly.
It's a real luxury for the Bears to have a number 1 draft choice and Dan Hampton go down and be able to replace him with another number 1. There's Al at the top of the screen working against Kenny Lanier, and he times it well, doing his Too Tall Jones imitation, going up and batting that one away.
Last time he started was as a linebacker back in 1984, held out in 1985, lost his job, and was just used sparingly last year.
3rd and 8 and 5 receivers in this set. And the Bears jump, and this should be a free play for Elway if he can get rid of it. And he does, and he goes very deep, and it's caught at the 25 by Clarence Kay.
Well, that's just, this guy is in another world.
You know, he would have ordinarily, I think, run out of bounds had he not been aware that the Bears, in all probability, were offside. He knew he had the free play.
Richard Dent was clearly across the line.
But had he not known that he had the free play because of the offsides, he probably would have taken it out of bounds. As it was, he took it back inside, looked downfield, finally found somebody, gets the completion. He is on top of this game. What an athlete.
Talk about the ability to stay alive and keep your team in contention. Watch the 180 by John Elway. He gets a couple good blocks. Here comes another one by Dave Studdard. But folks, that ball has a little mustard on it.
It just spirals prettier than other passes.
That baby covered some ground in a hurry, and now the clock ends at the end of the third quarter.
We've played 3. Bears ahead by 8. Back after this word about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. Bears on top by 8, fourth quarter. Seesaw game. It was all Chicago early. Big second quarter for Denver. Bears dominate period 3. Here we go to 4. First and 10 Denver at the Chicago 25-yard line. And Elway going for 6, and it's knocked away. Vance Johnson wants interference, and Vesty Jackson with a coverage. No flag.
I think that was pretty good coverage that time by Vesty Jackson. Good look here at Vance Johnson. You make the call. Jackson looks back at the ball. Tough to tell if that left arm is on him. You can hear the crowd. They just saw the replay. I think they've made the call.
That might be one of the great plays a defensive back ever made. I don't think he made contact, but he got his arm in there and knocked the ball out. Right in between the arms of Johnson.
I didn't see Johnson's body move back like he was shoved.
Second and 10. He slings his sidearm for a first down to the 11-yard line to Vance Johnson. He'll do it anyway. Over the top, underhand, sidearm, throw a slider at you.
Key thing, the pass pressure is not coming in on Elway. He is getting more and more time to throw the ball. And Singletary, with a little hesitation, got there a little late, flips it out with the sidearm. He's done about everything you could possibly ask a quarterback to do tonight.
I'm just completely impressed by John Elway's pocket awareness, his ability to feel pressure, sometimes run with the ball, but sometimes subtly just move a yard or two out of the rush.
296 yards for Elway tonight and 295 for McMahon. So a great little pitcher's duel going on there, and a timeout taken by Elway here. 14:02 remaining in the fourth, with Chicago on top by 8. Our share of routes over the last couple of years, Frank, and Dan, you're the rookie, but this is as good a game as we've had in some time.
Superb. See the play Dan diagrammed up there?
There
it all down.
Works every time.
First and 10. Denver at the 12-yard line. Rick Massey is in motion. And Elway throwing for the corner for Clarence Kay, too far.
That time Elway looked at 3 different receivers and came back to Kay finally and was able to get rid of it, but he took a tremendous shot from Ron Rivera coming in on the blitz.
And a blitz that was well picked up. John got the situation he wanted. He had man coverage downfield, but give some credit to Todd Bell and to Jackson, Richardson. Those 3 guys were back there in single coverage, locked up one-on-one, and smothered their guy.
They'll have another chance.
On second and 10. Keep it on the ground. Fighting his way is Lang inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line, and that's going to set up a third and about 5.
problem that I'm sure Dan Reeves is going through right now is we just had a shot of him looking at his play card is if you want to run the ball out of the shotgun, you're really limited to only 1 or 2 plays. I mean, when your backs are in front of the quarterback, you really are handicapped as far as how many different variations of a running game you can have.
Tough to get wide. 3rd and 5, Sewell slot left. Jackson splits left, and Elway's got to take another timeout. Ooh. And that could really kill them at the end. They're down by 8, and they're down to 1 timeout. 13-10 to play in the 4th. Could be very significant. Broncos down to 1 timeout, down by 8. Big play here, 3rd and 5 from the 7. Sewell, who has to go deep. He's back at the 15, comes back the other way, and gets close to the original line of scrimmage, but it's going to be 4th and 6 now, and that necessitates the presence of Carlos to try to cut the lead to 6 or to 5.
Tough call going laterally down there, 3rd down and 6, particularly with a team like the Bears and the way they can react athletically.
Was a curious call. John Elway, 4 receivers in the set. 27-yard attempt. Kubiak holding for Carlos. And that pulls them to within a touchdown. 5 points.
I guess he figures that there's no way that he can force John to throw every time. The worst thing that can happen is exactly what has happened, kicking the field goal. They had to have the field goal sooner or later.
Yep.
They were down by 2 scores. If they're to take the lead, they had to kick a field goal anyway.
So had to get inside a touchdown.
Right.
Sure would have been nice to do it the next time around, though.
Oh, wouldn't it always be that way?
Good seesaw battle among 2 close friends. Ditka, and we touched on it before, and Danny Reeves. They played together 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys under Landry, and then coached for many years. I guess you could say they just know about as much about one another as any 2 coaches in this game. And thus far, Danny Reeves has never been able to beat Mike Ditka.
(29-24), and the difference right now, 5-point advantage, and the difference are the 2 missed extra points. There was one of them. The hook by Butler, and here was the bad snap. Otherwise, it would be a 7-point advantage.
Which has necessitated a change by the Bears. Tom Thayer was doing the snapping on those, and now Jay Hilgenberg is correction on that. The rookie Addix was in there doing the first time, Thayer the second time, and now Hilgenberg for the 3rd and final time tonight.
Meanwhile, Butler kicks it down to the 7-yard line. Gentry, good run back, and buried in a pile out of bounds at the 35-yard line. So McMahon will lead the Bears out, and again, Jim is on the verge of going over the 300-yard mark for the first time in his career. And again, the Bears have not lost with McMahon as the starting QB.
The kickers was offside. That penalty is declined. It's 1st down.
38 is Bruce Plummer. Last time the Bears lost the game with McMahon as the starting quarterback, mid-October, 84. Same week, the Detroit Tigers were knocking off the San Diego Padres in the World Series. That long ago. Morris in motion. Fake to Payton. And then McMahon throws it out of bounds. Intended for Camposo.
Jim thought he was going to get something happening downfield much more effectively than he did. Hit the ball very well, was looking for an isolated receiver. Looked downfield. Nothing happening, just threw it out of bounds.
I know that we have entered the age of specialization, But the Broncos may be doing as much substitution on defense as I've ever seen. They are running 6 players out into this second and long situation. 6 substitutions by Denver to play this passing down against the Bears.
Would not be held to skelter either, because they have one of the great defensive coaches in the game in Joe Collier. He's directing traffic.
2nd and 10. Morris in motion. Walter Payton, big hole for him. And Payton, on his nicest run of the night, takes it out to the 49 for a first down.
And great call that time by the Bears. They saw those 6 people coming in to play the pass for Denver. Why not go ahead and run the ball? Good look at Morris, come in motion. There's Bortz, the right guard, pulling. Anderson with a good lead block on Rulon Jones. And 34, he knows what to do with the ball once he's past the line of scrimmage. Good call that time by the Bears, though.
Anderson doing for Payton what Payton has done so well for Anderson.
1st and 10. McMahon flipping it to Payton, nice catch, and Walter gets knocked down at the 42-yard line, and a little extra action from Jeremiah Castile. And I'd agree with Walter.
I think Walter was a little shocked that Castile just didn't fall over. Walter's taken on some of the big dudes in this league for a lot of years. He did not like the little extra tag that Castile put on it. You'll see it right here at the end. He did not have a face mask, but he had Payton around the helmet.
Well, Castile kept his legs driving, and Walter, I think, informing Jeremiah that, sorry, pal, but in my estimation, you haven't earned the right to do that to me.
And Jim McMahon, a milestone now. 20 of 30 for 303. And on 2nd and short, it's Payton cracking down to the 35-yard line.
Oh, and what a good call to have on a straight-ahead dive play against the blitz. You get good zone blocking up front, you get a big opening, and Payton gets good yardage.
Just leave that graphic. Guys, could you bring that thing back up a moment? After the play, we'll look at that graphic again. As we look at Walter, look at the head go down, the shoulder go down. How many times have we seen that? Walter Payton. We threw up numbers there that, I mean, they're mind-boggling.
They'll be in the Hall of Fame shortly.
I know we have guys with names that wrap all the way around their jerseys, but how about records that go all the way off the screen?
And your big screen to say,
yeah, you need a 40-inch job. On 1st and 10, behind Galt, who was covered well on the play. 2nd down. McMahon gesturing to Van Horn. His tackle.
It's not that complicated a game. It's that I want you over here.
Payton was 61 yards tonight, by the way. It's his best day of the year, day or night, in fact.
Well, he's suffered, Al. He hasn't had a 100-yard game in, 11 regular season games. He hasn't been over 50 yards this season.
He had 49 last week against the Packers, and as you can see, 61 thus far tonight.
Well, the key there, look at the average, 6.1 yards a carry. That's getting it done big time.
He came in tonight with a 2.6.
2nd and 10, 9.5 minutes to play in the 4th. Payton. And he takes it down to the 31-yard line where he's corralled by Jim Ryan. And it'll be 3rd down. 3rd down and 6 upcoming.
Take a look at the blocking going on. This is Rulon Jones in his stance. Watch him penetrate. Neil Anderson is going to put him on the ground again. Neil Anderson is making a habit out of hurting Rulon Jones. Boom, right there. And Rulon got up limping a bit. That time the good lead block by Bortz. Neil Anderson making a little surge here with his blocking.
3rd down and 6. Big play here. 8:50 to go in the 4th. And it's intercepted at the 20-yard line. Picked off by K.C. Clark, a rookie from San Jose State. K.C. Clark, a replacement player.
Remember, we saw him when we were here when Denver played the Raiders. He was lined up at corner for Denver in that last replacement game and had a good game that night.
McMahon from the shotgun. One, he dearly love to have back. Never saw Clark at all. Tried to go to McKinnon coming across, overthrew it under a lot of pressure, and that was the key to it. Denver getting the pressure on the man, forcing him to throw the ball, and K.C. Clark, he of the replacements, the interception.
1st and 10. Broncos at their own 39. 8:43 to play. Elway going deep for Johnson. Too deep by 1.5 yards. He'd beaten Richardson and Duerson.
Elway pounding on the turf, but he was just upset that he did not get the ball to Johnson, who was there.
How many times have you seen wide receivers get alligator arms when it comes time to go after a ball thrown long? That's the way you go after a football. Vance Johnson, what an effort. Look at Keith Bishop with the block there on Wilber Marshall. But this is an effort, folks. That's how you go after a ball. Doesn't look like much, but a lot of receivers won't do it.
Second and 10. Out pattern. Mateel makes the catch. Gets spun down at the 47 by Mike Richardson. A first down. He stays in bounds. The clock keeps rolling. 8:24 to play in the 4th.
And again, John Elway takes the hit. Watch him go down. It's almost like a trade-off situation now. John is saying, go ahead, run the blitz. I'm going to stand here until the last minute. Take the shot. As long as I can get my completions, I'll do it.
And he's doing that by checking off receivers too, Dan. That was not the primary receiver. Mateel was not the man he wanted to go to. When you check him off, you're going to take more time, and you're going to pay for it.
Bears lead by 5. 1st and 10 from the 47. Fake to Winder. Backside pressure. Elway escapes again. Perry chases him. And he throws incomplete, intended for Winder. But very few quarterbacks avoid that sack.
Gets away first from Dent. And I think an ordinary mortal, Dan, might have gone down.
Well, it's Richard Dent. Look at him at the top of the screen getting around Dave Studdard. And he's got John. He had his hand on his back. Now, the only guy out there is the Fridge, but the Fridge had the angle. No, that's... I don't know that I'd really like to be a defensive lineman playing the Broncos and have to try to corral this guy, John Elway.
Good time to go now with the pass. It's going to take a little longer. There's some deep breathing going on the part of that defensive huddle of the Bears. They're taking some deep breaths. They've been chasing Elway all night. He could perhaps buy a little more time on this pass.
2nd and 10. For Johnson. Nice catch. Gets wrapped up and tackled at the 40-yard line by Mike Richardson. They are about 3 yards short of the first down.
And again, it's the blitz. Ron Rivera. Boy, did he hammer John Elway. John standing in there and taking. Watch Rivera. He delays. Wide open, and John waits to the last minute. This is good coverage, Joe, by Mike Richardson. Good open field tackle. If he doesn't get Johnson to the ground, that's a big play.
That's what they brought him in tonight, for that man-for-man coverage. He was a starter tonight. Rivera again. You put that many men in the pattern, you do not have enough orange jerseys to pick up the whites.
3rd and 3 with 7 minutes to go, and they get the first down. Lang to the 33-yard line. Lang behind Keith Bishop.
And again, running out of the shotgun and making it work. That's the key. I think Tom Landry, Frank, was the guy who really, I guess we call him the father of running out of the shotgun. Dallas, the first pro team in the modern era to use it. And, of course, here we have 2 protégés of Tom Landry. But Denver tonight, I'm surprised that they're running as effectively as they are against Chicago out of the gun.
1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. Elway right over the middle, down the middle, complete to the 10-yard line to Mark Jackson.
And in the middle of 5 Bears, Elway scrambling out of the pocket again, was still able to pick out Mark Jackson, drilled it in there, and he puts it in between 5 Bears.
The Bears back playing zone, but let's look at it up front. William Perry is going to come the closest, but watch him get cut right there by Keith Bishop. But zone coverage here by Chicago, and Mark Jackson just sits down in that soft spot right in the middle. Good look there at Bestie Jackson pointing to Jackson and saying, he's open, guys. You got to close it.
First and goal inside the 10. Jackson to the left, Johnson to the right, and Sewell in motion. And Lang with a penalty marker, a face mask violation, 3 flags on the play.
Well, now we'll see whether it's going to be 5 or 15, and Gene Lang is hurt.
I don't think that has to do with the face mask. I think he has injured his left leg.
And the clock is stopped with 5:17.
Let's look what's happening inside. Is
Unnecessary roughness, face mask, number 72, half the distance to the goal. First down.
that's William Perry. There he is, beating Dave Stutter's block to the outside. The left arm right on Gene Lang's face mask, and he spins him all the way back around. That's, you know, there's the inadvertent and there's the blatant. That has to be the blatant variety.
He might have even got his hand caught in there, Dan. Even you would have thought that he would have released it at one point here.
If it was blatant, this is the one area in which it doesn't matter because it's only half the distance anyway, one way or another.
May have gotten a finger in the eye, Gene Lang. And a hefty finger it was, too.
First and goal.
A vegetable tray.
Sewell leaps in, touchdown.
Great blocking out front. Lead block from the back, Lang. Also, Humphreys.
Watch Humphreys, 79 there, Frank. Look at his good block to the inside. That's just effort.
Unfortunately, they take the lead, but they leave a lot of time on the scoreboard. At least, unfortunately, for Denver.
4:58 remaining in the fourth. Carlos with Kubiak putting it down. And the Broncos are now on top by 2.
Again, a slow motion. Humphreys working over the right side. Good block there. Lang out in front, number 33. Just enough to spring Sewell high over the top into the end zone.
Steve Sewell with the touchdown that puts the Broncos on top by 2, and so the difference in the game are those 2 missed Chicago extra points at the moment. 4:58 to play in the fourth. Bears have all of their timeouts remaining as Carlos's kick is taken at the 6-yard line by Gentry. And Gentry is stopped, even though the play still goes on. And a little scramble ensues, and not much more. Mark Munford makes the tackle. So let's take a look at college football. We've got a big doubleheader coming up for you. Again, Earl Bruce fired today. Rick Bay resigned as the AD at Ohio State, but Bruce will guide the team against Dan Deerdorf. Hail to the victors, valiant, the Warriors glorious, and all of that. Ohio State, Michigan live noon Saturday. And then Gifford's team, coached by Larry Smith. 4 field goals against Arizona to take on UCLA. Winner to the Rose Bowl.
So often that matchup has produced the Rose Bowl team.
Hey, Frank, someone here wasn't represented.
Yeah, we're going to the Holiday Bowl, don't worry, or the Freedom or something. One of those. First and 10 from the 24-yard line. Screen over the middle for Payton, and Walter does it himself out to the 33-yard line. Stopped by Dennis Smith, and they tackled him inbounds, and the clock keeps rolling with 4.5.
I don't know about these Bronco fans. What did they say? 400 no-shows here tonight. Snow all over the area. Great snow up in the Rockies for the skiers. Should be, they had 1.5 feet in some areas. But Denver fans, the Broncos play the Raiders in L.A. at the Coliseum next Sunday. Well, Raiders in a lot of trouble out there, but the Bronco fans will be here watching the game on Diamond Vision. That's how much they get into it.
2nd and 1. Payton to the 40-yard line. Dennison makes the tackle. If Ditka could write the script for this drive, what he would do is take all the time off the clock and run it down for a Butler field goal.
And he would love to see the man doing most of the work, Walter Payton.
Right now, he could care less who does it.
You're right. But he has such great respect for Walter Payton. That's the reason Walter Payton, frankly, is in there with Neil Anderson. There's a lot of people would like to see Calvin Thomas in there, maybe Matt Suey back in there. More of a blocking type than Walter is.
Payton out on this play on first down from the 40, and it's Anderson wrestled down by Clark after a gain of 2. Clock continues to roll. 3 minutes to play in the fourth period. 31-29 Broncos.
K.C. Clark, he of the interception and the replacement games, this time coming up with the run support and goes for the high tackle on Neil Anderson. And while it's not textbook pretty, it's certainly effective.
And are we looking at another one? The last 3 games against Tampa Bay, they came back to win that one 27-26. They came back to beat Kansas City. They came back last week to beat Green Bay in the final play of the game.
Second down and 8. McMahon dropped back at the 39 by Rulon Jones, who's had a relatively sackless season.
And if Rulon goes back and high-fives anybody, it ought to be the Broncos secondary. McMahon nowhere to go with the football, had no choice but to eat it. He was really under no pressure.
And he has not played well, Rulon Jones, but he drives his man into the middle, and McMahon pulls it down, and he makes a key sack there.
Only his second of the year, and Chicago has to take a timeout, and that is the first sack of the game.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is, with these two teams.
And a tribute to a couple of pretty heady quarterbacks. One of them athletically scrambling all over the football field. The other one just knowing when to get rid of it.
The timeout situation, the Bears just used their first one, so they've got a couple left. But remember the Broncos, how they had to waste 2 timeouts almost back-to-back down on the Chicago goal line, and they're down to only 1. Whether that will be a factor or not, I don't know. We'll see.
You know, they'd love to get the first down on the 3rd down and 11, but you can rest assured that they will go twice if they don't.
Guys, I pose the question. Can the mystique of Jim McMahon, can it grow even more? I mean,
it's set up for it, isn't it?
Tailor-made.
3rd down and 11.
Boy, what it will do for sunglasses.
Ball is at the 39-yard line. They have to get to the 50.
Not to mention tacos and other sort of things.
McKinnon and Morris are split to the right. Galt left. McMahon. Flag. He's sacked. Penalty.
Carl Mecklenburg, what a tremendous effort.
Flag is down, but it's down where you usually get holding.
And McMahon might have hurt his leg.
Holding, number 62. That penalty is declined. Put down.
Sports.
And Jim McMahon is injured. He's limping a bit. I don't know whether or not there's much damage. Let's see how he goes to the sideline. Watch Carl Mecklenburg. He's down here at the end of the line of scrimmage, takes an inside move on Jim Covert, and he just crawls to Jim McMahon, and you can see the twist of the leg when he went down.
With that loss of 10 yards, the Bears can't go on 4th down. They'll have to punt.
4th and 19, and Wagner to kick. End over end. Natil is back there and lets it bounce, and it will roll dead at about the 13-yard line. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning and then some, with exactly 1:55 to play in the 4th, and McMahon hobbling and Denver on top by a deuce.
Another look at Carl Mecklenburg's effort. Here he is at the bottom of your screen, and let's see where Jim McMahon's ankle is twisted. Now he works to the inside of Jimbo Covert, who's got a bad shoulder to the inside. Going to require surgery after the season. But watch Carl crawl. He gets McMahon's left ankle, and there's where it gets twisted when he goes down. And we saw Jim holding it on the sideline. The Bears say that if they get the football back, Jim McMahon will be back in the game.
If they get it back.
A big if.
Mitchell in motion from the 12-yard line. Denver tries to take time off the clock as Sammy Winder takes it out to the 16.
And you saw Winder covering that football. That's what they're saying in the huddle. Let's take care of the football. Think about that first before you try to do anything, make any kind of cuts. And as you can see, the Bears have used one of their remaining timeouts.
And that leaves them now with just one. So what it amounts to is if Denver can get a first down, this one is history. And the Bears, meanwhile, it's been 10 years since they've gone back-to-back games without a sack. Jack Pardee was the coach then.
And I think we'll give equal credit to the Bronco offensive line and to this guy right here, John Elway. I don't know that if the Bears would have had 13 guys on defense tonight, we're rushing 9 every play if they'd have trapped Elway.
It's that time, Dan.
Certainly is. I would love to tell you that this telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or any other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited. And this is some football game tonight.
Second and 7 at the 15-yard line. And Elway slides down to stay inbounds at the 17 and force Chicago to use a timeout if they so choose. And they do. Elway looking toward the sideline. What he saw was no chance to get the first down. None. So he slid down to stay inbounds, keep the clock rolling. And, of course, he is the son of a coach who I'm sure is very proud right now of exactly what he did.
He's done very little wrong tonight. He had the one interception when it appeared as if he just did not see Ron Rivera. But he has been almost flawless other than that.
I think if John Elway would have slid out of bounds that time, stopping the clock, the first thing he might have seen was Dan Reeves landing right on top of him with his hands going for his throat.
Our producer Ken Wolf, director Larry Cam and the gang with the pictures from Denver tonight. Malibu, Kelly Hayes.
A lot of good work by our cameramen. Many of them unable to get into the airport here in Denver last night. Came in today from out on the West Coast.
Our crew scrambling around.
They got a good crew.
Tommy O'Connell and Jack Savoy and Drew DeRosa doing a cross-country odyssey to get into Denver.
Mike Ditka.
Well, Ditka and his Bears fly home after the game, and all of a sudden they're going to begin to look at the defense of all things after the last 4 weeks. 26, 28, 24, and now 31 points against Chicago. And Winder gets wrapped up by Al Harris at the 14-yard line, and so Chicago will get the ball back. They cannot stop the clock. A minute and a half remaining. And you talk about McMahon set up for that magical mystery tour again.
Here it is. Right here, Denver will let the time run down. They won't snap this football until the last minute. There's still 14 seconds left on the 30-second clock. So they'll try to snap this ball at 2 or 3 seconds.
And they'll be under a minute to play when they do snap it. The clock is now down to 4, 3, 2, 1. And they will take the penalty here.
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know that you do that either, because
taking every possible second they can, but they have a dangerous dangerous return man back there in Dennis McKinnon, something we have not touched on. He's run 2 punts back for touchdowns this year, and I'm questioning that thinking right there.
File this away right now. If Kevin Butler makes a field goal and it crosses the crossbar by 5 yards or less, remember this penalty.
I don't understand that at all, and it really appeared that they had no intention to kick the football. Now, the big thing now for Denver is when they do kick the ball, they want to kick it to the center of the field. They don't want to angle it for the sidelines. Keep it in play, burn off more time.
And again, the Bears do not have a timeout when they get the football. Picked, fielded, and dropped at the 43. Picked back up by McKinnon. And down in a sea of orange at the 45-yard line. 48-yard boot, 3-yard run back. And so McMahon and the Bears at their own 45 with 45 seconds left on the clock, and Jim limping out to the huddle.
Man, we're not talking about mystique now. If we can pull this off, we're talking about legend.
Well, we're not talking in reality, guys, about having to go that far. I mean, look where they have the football.
You can kick it much further out here. Kevin Butler, who can probably reach it 55 yards, maybe 56 or 7. You might even tack maybe 1 or 2 more on that because of the altitude here.
Now, if you're a Denver Bronco, when you get on top of a ball carrier or a receiver who's caught the ball, you don't get off of him. That burns up more time. You're going to see a lot of holding.
They're only about 25 yards away from getting it in legitimate field goal range as McMahon throws over the middle, and it's dropped by Morris. Ron Morris drops it. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
And McMahon was dropped again. This time, Rulon Jones closing down on McMahon and really belting him. And McMahon is limping more noticeably now.
Very difficult to question the toughness of Jim McMahon. I mean, it's obvious. Look at him bending over in pain in the huddle. This is a stellar performance by this guy. Any wonder why the Chicago Bears in that offensive huddle revere Jim McMahon? You're seeing why right now.
Morris and McKinnon go wide to the right. Ball comes wide to the left. And McMahon under pressure gets sacked at the 37-yard line. Andre Townsend, not picked up, came flying in unmolested.
And they'll start the clock.
And Tomczak is coming into the game. Mike Tomczak comes off the bench. And McMahon is forced to leave.
And there's no way that Jim McMahon can continue to play. He's a sitting duck back in the pocket. If he's healthy, he might have gotten away from Andre Townsend, who really just penetrated from a defensive tackle position, but no chance but to go to the ground. A game effort, but I mean, there's just no way he could do it.
3rd down and 18, and Nicole Tomczak, who's only been in the snap as the play is whistled dead before the snap. Red Cashin.
Almost an anticlimactic wind down to what has been an absolutely thrilling football game. And here is the last play. McMahon, the time before last, as Rulon Jones pounds McMahon to the surface. On the last play, he just could not move out of the way of Andre Thompson. He just couldn't do it.
So here are
the Benditka sucked him out of there.
Here are the Bears now without McMahon, without Payton. Waller out of the lineup at the moment.
There's Townsend. McMahon knew he had no chance to move out of the way.
3rd down and 18. Tomczak sends 4 receivers into the pattern, swings it out to Anderson. He's got to look for the sideline, and he goes out of bounds at the 38 with 13 seconds. So now they are forced into a 4th down situation. Not only do they need a 1st down, they've got to get out of bounds as well. You're forced to really throw something either on the side or just go for it all.
Yeah, it really restricts the middle of the field. There's no way you can make a play because you cannot get to the football and get off another play, even if you pick up the 4th down, which is 16 yards away.
Tomczak, he's going to swing it to Anderson, and Anderson doesn't pick up the 1st down, and the Denver Broncos have wrapped it up.
Mike Tomczak didn't know it was 4th and 16. He's trying to get the team together to run another play.
He came off the bench for the 3rd down play, unaware of the game situation.
He didn't know it was 4th down and 16.
They're yard markers for that.
You would think somebody in the huddle would have said, hey, what kind of a call is that?
No wonder he only dumped off the ball. He didn't know said he had to get 16 yards to get a first down.
Clock stops with the change of possession. But this one is history, and Tomczak, who was rushed into action, apparently did not know that it was fourth down.
And so the Broncos run one play, and that will do it. And Denver will keep their wild card hopes alive and their very slim AFC West hopes alive. So the one thing about the Broncos, they still have 2 games with San Diego, who they trail by 2.5.
Danny Reeves looking, I'm sure, for Mike Ditka.
Well, the Denver Broncos looking and getting what they desperately needed, life. They are still alive.
They bounced back from that loss to Buffalo, an embarrassing loss of a week ago, and they bounced back in great fashion.
So that's the story. Al Michaels, along with Frank Gifford and Dan Dierdorf, saying good night from Denver, where the Broncos beat the Bears in a wild one, 31-29. The difference in the game, the 2 missed extra points. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Nissan Cars and Trucks, built for the most important race of all, the human race. By Michelob Light. When the sun goes down, light up the night with Michelob Light. By the U.S. Army, learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And by Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal. This Saturday, ABC's college football continues with doubleheader action. First, Ohio State takes on Michigan. Then, 5th-ranked UCLA takes on USC for a Rose Bowl bid. And ABC's Monday Night Football continues next week. The Los Angeles Rams against the Washington Redskins. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television. See you next Monday.
Long-standing partnership. Again, at the Winter Games of Calgary, the Olympic tradition continues.